Hey guys, Marshall here. Uh, I had an experience recently that sort of reinforced the importance to really work on yourself, and it was someone that I was close to has lost a loved one, and she's been going through a tough time, I think, for years. And some people go through these times differently. They often don't know where to turn to, and unless you really understand what you have to do as a person to get out of that sort of uh, bad state of mind, you'll just revisit it constantly. You won't know how to discuss it with your mind. Um, and oftentimes, I've dealt with people that have lost loved ones and have done well through it, and have done well through it with their faith. And this person is very has always been very into their faith and their connection with God, uh, but she isn't doing well with it, and I think she's honestly um, kind of questioning her faith because has said things like, "Why didn't God take me?" Um, and honestly, she has come up with these manifestations of how she's actually understanding her reality. This fly is really, really in love with my head today. Um, we're gonna try to stay focused though. Um, so, what's the difference here between someone that can handle these problems and somebody that can't with their faith? I think it comes down to really their understanding of and their commitment, their ability to revisit constantly. I had my grandfather. He would always say, that the Bible has all the answers. He would never really go into it more than that, but he would say that. Um, and to expound on that, I think that the Bible does have a lot of the answers, but you have to be able to look at the meaning. You have to look beyond just the text. And I think my grandfather was able to look beyond the text, and he was able to detach himself from all the things that have happened in his life. He went to war, um, and he was able to, at a young age too. He went to war at a young age on a boat when he was literally like 20 years old, 19 or 20, maybe even younger than that. He could have been probably like 18 years old going to war, World War II, in the Navy, seeing some really wild stuff. Seeing boats around him explode, and hundreds to 1,000 people die on a boat right in front of his eyes. Um, and so, someone that's been through those sort of things early in life dealt with how they were able to look and stay faithful, still believe in God, was able to, help him later in life whenever he lost his wife. He was able to handle that situation. Um, and really detach himself and let it be in God's hands. And that's one of these principal great ways to look at the Bible, having gratitude for every day, and just leaving things into God's hands for the most part. Control what you can control. And I think that's one thing that this person that I'm close to is struggling with. Uh, she can't get over the fact that her husband was taken from her, and she's bouncing around these ideas like, why wasn't it me that was taken? And she can't detach herself from the spiral, and she's missing. I don't believe she even goes to church quite as much as she used to, but she's missing this ability to reconnect and with the word of the Lord, and just find herself that grounding. Whereas my grandfather would, I bet you he would just read the Bible almost like every year. So he was very, very into that. He was very, I'm sure he found different meaning in a lot of the text every time he was reading it. I think as almost like a, uh, I guess a philosopher would, to just find the meaning beyond the text, and the ability to really um, get out of his own mind and get out of the self and just really connect with something beyond that. And so it's not just good enough to just, just to, it's great to go to church, but there's beyond that. um, you'll always get put into a situation where it's you and your mind, and there is no church around you. um, and so if you can understand the principles of life, when you're hit with this bad time, when these bad situations, these bad environments, you can handle them better. Now, this person that I've been talking about, she's in a bad environment. She's getting older, and she's dealing with physical deterioration, and she's also dealing with a poor environment. She doesn't feel like people listen to her, and she's going through these things. And I was sitting there listening to her, and I didn't really have the answers right at the moment, and I don't think she's even necessarily ready for the answers, because a lot of the answers are in principles beyond just the text of the stuff that she's experienced. And when you go through life and you're kind of in a area of just um, safety, just you're getting older, and you're in this safety area where you don't really deal with a lot of different conflicts and things like that, which, you know, that has its drawbacks, because when you deal with these certain environments changing, if you haven't dealt with that before, if you haven't dealt with tough times, you can make certain little minute problems seem very, very big problems. And and I've noticed that with people around me. I've had severe problems happen to me. I'm in a wheelchair, um, but I feel like you know, a lot of the people around me are dealing with their own problems, but uh, I am outside of myself listening to them. I'm listening to this woman who's dealing with physical deterioration, whereas I would trade physically. I I wish I had her legs, and her spine, because I would be able to walk. And so, um, her talking to me about her physical deterioration, and I'm understanding and listening, hearing her out, and trying to help her out in the moment as much as I can, um, and being able to be like, I understand what physical deterioration is, you know, and this is how I deal with it. I was able to help her out as much as I could, but she was dealing with a lot of different things, and really it came down to how she's talking to herself, and how she's spinning this. She's kind of manifesting a lot of problems further than they need to be. Even I talked about this earlier, where she's questioning why God would have taken her husband and not her. This isn't something that healthy to really even think about. It really isn't, because now she has the gift of life still, but she's not showing the gratitude to really accept every day. And so I have some notes here I wanted to discuss too. this fear of the loved one uh, being lost, and the spiraling, meditating, manifesting, flipping these thoughts around. So it's thanking God for still letting you, or thanking the universe for still letting you live, you know, and then getting up every day and thinking kind of like a Buddhist would think, and which is that you're being reborn every day. I really love that quote. Uh, it's just really profound to be able to. And if you think about yourself being reborn every day, it's like it's such a great way to stay present. You know, you might not be present to every minute, but you're present to every day, where you can sort of construct your day and do what you can, you know, with what you have. Um, and it just shows whenever I see something like that, and I hope this video kind of shows you that the time is now to really grow your spirit and understanding, to prepare yourself for the concerns, fears of loss in your life. I told her that, like, yes, everyone has this fear of loss. Uh, I have this fear of, you know, my parents passing away, loved ones passing away. But I don't ever mention it to anybody. I want that to kind of be, you know, I'm going to discuss that with myself. I'm going to overcome this fear, and I'm going to prepare myself for that day that something like that happens. Because if I just stay in this, if I just ignore it, if I just, you know, try to distract myself, if I try to just put on music and push that thought away, am I going to be prepared for whenever something like that happens? Not really. No, I'm not going to be prepared. And so it's kind of your, you know, as much as you have these different jobs and careers in your life, there needs to be some time spent where you're going beyond the physical and really kind of engaging yourself during times where you're not being distracted, so you can really hear what's going on in your mind, so you can prepare yourself for whenever you need to go to sleep at night and you've lost a loved one. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to be able to talk to yourself? Do you have this outlet of spirituality, the ability to be present and detach yourself from the things that are out of your control, the things that are just in the universe's hands? And for me, I went through that period. I went through a period just like this that I'm talking about, where it was very, very difficult for me because I was not prepared. I was not prepared at all to be in a wheelchair sitting here at home with all these different thoughts in my head. A lot of them were destructive. A lot of them were internal turmoil that ended up coming out of me. I was frustrated with a lot of things. Whenever I was in the hospital, I was frustrated at my mother. She didn't deserve my frustration. It was my inability to handle my emotional triggers. These things that were going on with me. This feeling of being kind of stuck in a way. I think kind of like what this loved one that I've been talking about is feeling very stuck. She can't really go the places she wants to go. She can't get into a different environment. But all you can do is just do the best with what the environment you have. And oftentimes I want to leave this area and I'm restricted, you know, being handicapped. So I've dealt with this problem it took me a while. It took me years to develop a way to think about these things, and it even, I think what the biggest help that for me was Buddhism. It's really funny. I just watched this show White Lotus, and it was really funny. The the family was played by a woman actor. She was so good, this older woman. She played a mother from North Carolina, and she was religious and Christian, and her daughter wants to practice Buddhism. And it's just so funny how she gets into, Piper, no, why would you want to live out here and practice Buddhism? It was so funny, so funny. But I feel like I couldn't really suggest Buddhism to this person because they're very much tied into, Christianity, kind of like that. What I was just saying, like this mother from North Carolina has ties with Christianity, so she's very focused on that. So all I could do is like hint at certain principles of Buddhism, possibly. I didn't really with her, but that's what helped me out the most, was dealing with the present, was Buddhism, really, and the thoughts of getting out of the me and the self, and focusing on what you could create or what you can do for other people. It was a book in particular that was Think Like a Monk, that really opened my eyes to Buddhism. And this idea of focusing on internally that can change your external world is something really powerful, especially for somebody that's going through physical deterioration, like myself, kind of. I've been doing pretty well recently with my physical shape, but you can dwell on and fixate on the physical and the external world and your environment, or you can try to balance that and spend time meditating. And I don't think I could really tell this person to do that, but there's time for everyone to sort of develop themselves in a way to be prepared for these sort of problems that they're facing in the future. And I promise you they're going to be there. It's one thing that I can promise you, is there's going to be some time in your life where you're going to be in a dark place, and unless you have the tools with you, you're going to go through a longer period of suffering. You're going to suffer until you figure it out. And I really hope that she can, because she's getting older, I really hope that she can figure this out, because I'm not sure she would even be able to resonate with these sort of philosophies of Buddhism. But what she could do is get, she could go back to her way of doing things and get back to her faith. It's really tough. It's really tough whenever you see someone that, whenever I was younger and I asked for her advice, she always had some sort of advice. It's in God's hands. You can do, and then all of a sudden, she's dealing with the difficult times, and all of a sudden she doesn't have the answers, and it feels like I might be the one that has the answers now, because I've spent years trying to figure myself out, whereas a lot of people spend their whole life not needing to figure things out, internally, or pushing them off, or distracting and just moving forward, which is good. But eventually that tough time comes, and you're not prepared for it. And a lot of people, have a therapist or something outside themselves to help them, going to church, and then all of a sudden you're stuck without a church near you, or maybe you don't have a Bible near you or something, and you need to be able to find your way and find maybe new resources, or maybe reattach or find the old resources that work for you. I can't stress to you the importance to be prepared in life for those times when you could go through a depressive state. Because you never know where those bad times can take you. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes people to the end of their life. Uh, we covered most of my notes so far. Developing your reality to be less fragile. I think this is something for us to ask ourselves at times, whether or not the direction is weakening your reality or not. Is your the pillars to your reality, are they realistic? You don't want to be faced with this questioning of your reality, and whenever you're dealt with this questioning of your reality, that it really disrupts your way of seeing yourself, your belief system. Your belief system is like your core essence. And holy flies, man. It's just like, it's becoming spring and there's a lot of flies around right now. And you can just see them, it's crazy. But, to avoid having a fragile reality, you need to be able to manage your belief systems. And I feel like on a yearly basis, at some point in time, you should write some beliefs down. Whatever the core beliefs in the Bible that you want to remember, whatever your core beliefs in life you want to remember, write those down and make them, even if, let's say that you need to flip these sort of things that are these bad thoughts in your brain, like these questioning of your faith, flip those into a belief and remind yourself, like, this is the way I need to think to be able to have peace on a daily basis, so that you don't have this fragile reality. So you don't, whenever if you cope for so long and you forget what your beliefs are, it may take you some time to really remember, oh shoot, that's right, I need to create this foundation again to be able to deal with these conflicts on a daily basis. And sometimes, if your mind's sort of gone in a way, and you don't have that, if you're not every year trying to remind yourself what your beliefs are, like my grandfather I think did. I think he was going about it. I think he just knew that the only way he could go on a yearly basis in his 90s without his wife was to be able to just remind himself, open up that Bible, and find those really core beliefs that he wanted to accept into his life. I think that's why he was able to live such a long time. He was able to live to be 90 years old. I don't remember him ever really questioning. I remember him having a lot of answers. I don't remember ever. He didn't have all the answers, but I know he had a lot of them. And I want to spend my life being someone that has a lot of the answers, not the one that's looking for the answers. I mean, I do want to look for answers, but I don't want to be the one that's, throwing my problems out there to get answers from other people. Like, I don't want to do that to people. I want to find those myself. I think it's all of our duties to find those answers ourselves. We're all capable of doing it. We have so many resources at hand. Whatever the religion may be, there's answers to help you find gratitude in life, help develop a strong reality, help yourself separate from environments that trigger you, so that, and maybe even put yourself in environments that are triggering so that you can grow as a person. These environments that you don't want to be in, if you want to just avoid them all your life, all of a sudden you might end up in an environment that you don't like and you're not prepared. The pressure's on you and you're not prepared. So sometimes you have to go at certain fears head on. You don't want to be that chameleon in that environment. You don't want to just be shaped by your environment, because all of a sudden you won't really even know who you are anymore, because you'll be doing all these things that don't really fall into your belief system. And I have so much gratitude for today. I woke up feeling like I was born again today. It's a beautiful day, a little bit overcast. You know, besides being attacked by flies, it's been a beautiful video out here with you guys. If you want to explore more of these experiences, my channel is Plausibly Anything. Please subscribe to it, and check out my other videos in the playlist Mentoring 365. We dive into all sorts of different Buddhist philosophies, religious philosophies, experiences of life. And yeah, I'm Marshall. I'm out. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you soon.